Are you a witch? What is a witch? In my personal opinion, what do I see as the traits or the characteristics of a, quote, real witch? One such document that attempted to answer these questions was the Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of the Witches, in 1486. This document, along with other laws, attempted to identify a real witch so they could then be prosecuted and tortured and imprisoned. And if you get down to it, like many witch laws in other parts of the world as well, take some old lady's property. Perhaps a widower. Johann Weyer, a pupil of Cornelius Agrippa, in his De Praestigiis Daemonum, believed that there was no need for torture or imprisonment. In fact, that it was all a bit of a misunderstanding that yes, though people had leftover mystical practices from paganism and other things, that the need to torture and imprison them was just completely unnecessary, that they meant no harm. Now let's go to another aspect of this after a little bit of brief history. And by the way, up until the 1950s in England, in Britain, witchcraft was in fact illegal. And there are still laws in the U.S. about fortune-telling and what they sometimes refer to as gypsy laws. Let us go now to the importance of something that's talked about today in witchcraft. The witch's pyramid. It's a good way to understand an important philosophical tool used by those in Wicca and witchcraft. And also it does represent the alchemical journey in some way. I'll explain in a bit. The witch's pyramid. To know, to dare, to will, to act, and to be silent. That is one version of it. I am aware of other versions. In fact, the classical version wouldn't have to act. But the top of the pyramid, or the top of the pentacle, might include to go. Which to me could be somewhat related. Or could be somewhat related even to the to silent part. I will explain these things in a moment. Let's start with to know. And I started with saying I know there are variations. The variation I go with, and we'll start with to know, is based on the pentacle. So to know. The knowing is thought. It's consciousness. The conscious awake mind as a valuable tool for crystal clear awareness and clarity. So let's put it into the context of a magical act. You want to be crystal clear on what exactly you're doing and learn as much about that activity as you can. But even outside of the idea of the magical act, one should be aware of themselves. Let's go to the second one. To dare. It's the courage. It's the bravery to change. To want something to change. Because let's face it, if you have a natural calling to witchcraft, you're probably not someone who says, I love everything just how it is. So it's the bravery, the courage, the emotional backing behind the clarity. Now to the will. to properly align, to understand purpose, including the purpose of a magical act, but it's also understanding your purpose, to ensure that something as sacred as magic is not being used without proper purpose and alignment with your true self. This is your true burning self. Sure, you can cast petty spells for petty things, but if you're a serious magical practitioner, you align your magic with your will. Will is the true expression of divinity flowing through you. Answer me this question. What greater connection to the divine is there than your will? Your will is the will of the gods, expressed through you. Without your will, in my humble opinion, you live a half-life. You are in a half-purposeless sleep, a hamster wheel, not being grateful for the gift of life. If you're not even exploring what your will, your trueness, your true purpose is. I'm not talking pleasureful whims or dopamine hits. I am talking will, divine purpose, inner drive. And that's the fuel. That is the fuel. And all of us will have different purposes, therefore slightly adjusted wills. The next one, to act. The physical expression, the doing here on the earthy plane. You must act amongst the mundanes, no matter how magical we are. And guess what? That's a blessing too. So don't always look at the mundane muggle world, as some might say, as if it is some sort of curse. It's not. It's part of your mission, and you should be grateful for it. It's how we learn. It's how we sharpen. To keep silence. Okay. Tacere. Historically, one might say this was, to stay silent was for fear of persecution that I mentioned earlier. It can also be that other people can shatter your belief systems. You can be working on some magic, maybe you've been working on it for a while, got everything right, prepared, lined up, laid out, moon phases, the whole 9 yards. And then, all of a sudden, a negative comment can just destroy the whole thing. That thing that you set into your subconscious, into your mind, into the magical ether, has now been dramatically disrupted. So, I also, beyond magical working, because I'm also pulling into the philosophical, psychological aspect of witchcraft here, reflective, pause, calmness, quiet, value, strength of stillness. You see, there's great strength in being silent and still. It has great value. Allow the magic to work. Don't bully it into working after the spell has been cast. Cast it, believe in it, quietly reflect, meditate, etc. Stillness. Now let's add the other one that many people would add in the other version of the pyramid I mentioned earlier, which is to go. Ire. I view this as to move freely amongst the other qualities in the pentacle, in the pyramid. Again, to allow the magic to happen. And here's an important one. And this is one of my most important things of what I think makes a real witch or warlock. Remain curious. Remain curious. Be doubtful. Ask questions. Don't accept things on face value. You can't possibly know all the mysteries of this physical world or any other place. Brothers and sisters of this vast multiverse, be curious. And as far as the pyramid goes, they all serve each other. What good is it to know if you don't act or dare on that knowing? What good are you doing keeping silence with, again, zero sense of daring that would allow action after your reflection, after your meditative vision? What good would be daring and bold if you're being daring and bold about something that doesn't mean anything, is ridiculous and pointless and doesn't serve you? Some people do make that mistake, thinking it's all about aggressive boldness. It happens a lot. What good does it to run around with your will without it having any sense of direction? That's what your conscious, back to the first one, to know, mind is for. It's the tool for direction. It's what helps draw the map or see where the setting is on the compass. And then it tells your will, all right, let's go this way. Then you go, hey, daring, I need you now because, I need a little bravery. Then you go there. Then after you've made all of this and you've been bold and then you take action, then you need the wisdom of silence and stillness to allow magic to happen. And it doesn't just apply to magic, it applies to life in general. It applies to our psychological health. So many people interested, including Janet Farrar, who I've seen do some interesting exercises before and discuss them. One with wearing masks and the other person isn't. It may be for another day. But the point being is that there does seem to be a commonality between people interested in magic and mysticism that are also, at least to some degree, interested in human psychology. So magical effectiveness, real world effectiveness, psychological effectiveness. This is the Witch's Pyramid. Thank you all. I'm Daniel Michael, and you're listening to Main Street Universe, the show and network reminding you that the mysteries and possibilities of the universe are closer to Main Street than you may have ever imagined. Have a beautiful day.